Hey, welcome back to, I don't even know what day it is. I think it might be day 17 or 16, can't remember, of Project Me. And it's been a few days. It's been a little bit since we've last checked in. And so we'll briefly go over the last few days and today talk about how I'm feeling quite overwhelmed. I try and process that a little bit in a healthy way. And then we'll move on to the daily reflection and lastly, gratitude, because we've been slacking on that. So let's get right into it. So, last few days really just been working on. I have 3 assignments due, 2 tomorrow on Wednesday and 1 due next Wednesday. So the last few days has really just been me focusing on getting 2 of those assignments done. The one's due tomorrow. So knuckled down on those, finished them both yesterday. I've turned them both in as of this afternoon. And so those are out of the way. Thank goodness we can move on with my life. Finally. And now I'm just focusing on this last one, which is a legal opinion on essentially whether this is a parody of Taylor Swift, whether Taylor in this context can get a search order to look for evidence that she thinks was stolen from her. And so we're reviewing the evidence. We are reviewing the precedent cases in common law that might offer some insight into how this situation, this fact scenario might be resolved. So looking into that, that's quite interesting. I finished reading all the cases yesterday. I found, without speaking too much legalese and jargon, I found that in a search order, there's 2 types of search orders. There's on notice and without notice. On notice is where you give the person who you're about to search some warning so that they can dispute the search. They have a chance to fight back. And the other is no warning. You just rock up and start searching. Different from a police warrant. These are civil. This is civil litigation. So not within police powers. And so in the context of this assignment, again, without going too in depth, I found that there is a different threshold between on notice and without notice. So to get a search order without warning the defendant beforehand, you need to reach a higher threshold. The need needs to be greater than it would be for not, to give the defendant warning. And I was ready to talk about that in my legal opinion, but it turns out today that that's actually not relevant. The instructor, the lecturer, just wants us to focus on applying the statutory, so, the law that was passed by Parliament in its written form, not so much finding a threshold and trying to find out where that threshold is, because they didn't give us, it's closed sources, so they didn't give us free reign to look at all the case laws, just specific cases, and none of those cases talked about where that threshold might be. So I was hoping it'd be really easy to talk about it, because speaking to my peers, very few identified that there was a distinction between the two, and even less thought about, having to identify that threshold, how much is too much, how much is too little. So I was hoping for some easy marks to stand out from my peers and, get an A+. But unfortunately, it's not the case. I spoke to the instructor today. He said to just focus on pretending that the 2 orders were one and the same, so there is no difference in threshold, which is a bit frustrating because I would have liked to get ahead of my peers a little bit. No, to each their own, but it just feels like I've already put in too much time thinking about it, because what I've spent time thinking about is actually no longer relevant given the instructor's instructions. That was a little bit disappointing, but got results back from this same class, an essay from a few weeks ago. Did really well on that. Got an A, about 2 points shy of an A+, so a little bit unfortunate, but hey, we move on. The worst part though is, so I made 2 submissions. I submitted this essay twice. One was on time, one was late. I did not realize the second submission was late, and the only difference between the 2 was the addition of 1 citation, 1 reference. There was no change between the 2. And why this matters is I was marked down 10 points for a late submission. So that is disappointing, to say the least, and you can understand why I want to not contest it, but I want to get to the bottom of it. So I've emailed the course coordinator and we'll see if that goes anywhere, because I think the punishment of being deducted 10 points is disproportionate to the gravity of my error, which is making a second submission after the deadline. Because in essence, I'd already turned it in on time, and yet I'm being marked for being late. So you can understand that there is a disparity there. And there's arguments, pro and con, I'm not going to get into those, but I can understand why he'd rule against me, but I feel like it's more likely he'll rule in my favour and repeal those 10 points, that 10 point penalty. So I can actually get 4 marks for it, which would be nice. In any case, last few days, I just want to talk about the last few days and how I'm feeling. Feeling really overwhelmed. Partly because I had so much going on at the same time. I had the 3 assignments, I had some other work I was getting to. I've got some tasks I need to get done at some point that have just been weighing on me for a little bit. I need to reply to my friends' voice messages, for example. That's been weighing on my mind for quite a bit of time. I just haven't, and I need to. I get to. I need to reframe that in my mind. I get to reply to them. Really privileged for that. I need to remember that. But just lots going on, and I just feel quite constrained, quite trapped. This morning I went to a meeting for a community group I'm a part of, and in that meeting, it's been a while since we all caught up with each other, and part of that meeting, at the beginning, we all, just did a little round table. We went around the table and we said, what had been going on with us, and everyone else, I'm the only student in that group, everyone else is like a young professional, and they're all saying, oh yeah, I've got this trip planned, I'm doing this exciting thing for work, and it comes to me and I'm just sitting there thinking, damn, I really have nothing. And so I spoke and I just said, hey, listen, university's keeping me busy. I have nothing else really going on besides university that's of particular relevance. So a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, just keeping me busy. I have no opportunity to do other things at the moment. And I feel like because I'm so overwhelmed, I'm starting to feel a little bit burnt out with school. I still have 2 weeks left in this trimester before exam period starts. So I've still got a little bit to go, but at least the last assignment will be due next Wednesday. I have a little bit of work to do for Friday. I've got something else I need to pre-write, but that's not graded. It's just for my own benefit. I'll get more out of learning whatever it is we discuss next week if I do the work beforehand. So I need to get that sorted. But back to being overwhelmed. I just feel like I need time to recharge. I need time to sit back and just not feel bound or guilty for not doing anything. I don't feel bound to do something, and I don't feel guilty for not doing anything. And it's quite tricky because I've known for a very long time that my work ethic is unsustainable. It's not healthy, and I know this. It's not healthy to feel guilty every time I do something that's not work. And it's really hard because, of course, I do something that's not work, I feel guilty, I go back to doing work because everything else is unsatisfying for me. So it is quite painful, and I recognize, I acknowledge that it's taking a toll on me, and I just don't know how to address it. It might be that I need to set out specific blocks of time for myself to relax. But even then, I feel like I've got such little time, I can't afford to do that. It's really, really quite challenging to find a balance in that. Perhaps more serious than just being overwhelmed and burnt out is the fact that feeling that way has started to mess with me a little bit as well, mentally. I feel like I'm slipping away and, back into that really negative cycle of emotions and feelings and thoughts in my head that put me down a really dark path. And I don't want that to happen again. That's why I started this project, so I could work through what I'm feeling inside. And I don't want to do that again. So I need to think of a way or I can deal with how I'm feeling in a healthy way. And so I'm really reluctant to throw out all these ideas because I don't know if I'm able to implement them. It's not through lack of want, I want to do them, but I feel like even if I put them, on my agenda, I feel like it's not a priority for me, which is the worst part, because it sounds so wrong to say, I am going to go for a walk so that I can process my emotions, right? Like that's fine, but it feels so wrong to say that and then say, but only if I get all this other stuff done beforehand, because it's not a priority for me, but it should be a priority. But I can't bring myself to make it a priority. And that's something I'm really struggling to grapple with, I think, more than anything else. Like, for example, waking up in the morning. That has been a huge topic of contention in these videos for me. I know that waking up in the morning, going for a run, or just be waking up early and having more time in the day has huge benefits for me. Huge. Whether it be productivity, whether it be health, physical and mental. Huge benefits. I want to do it. I try. I do try. I did manage to get up this morning, actually, at 6:20 or something, which was good. But it's not a priority. As much as I want it to be, I'm not committed. What's that old saying? It doesn't matter if you have talent. Are you committed? Are you obsessed? That's it. Obsession is commitment. In a very real way, I think. I'm sure you can draw a distinction some way, but I think they very much tie into each other. I don't think you could be committed without having, to some extent, some obsession. And I need to find a way to have that obsession. I need to find some urgency in prioritizing things that do matter for me. And I just don't know how to do that. I really don't. I don't know how to reorient and reframe my life to reprioritize things. I don't know how. Maybe therapy is one way, but I can't afford that. Counseling won't do me much good. That's a very temporary thing. I don't know. I'm really stuck on this, and I have to give it more thought. And hopefully it comes to something substantial, but if not, that's alright. We'll keep thinking, we'll keep trying. Small wins, I think, might be the best way to go. But again, I'm very reluctant to throw anything out there. Anyways, let's get on to the daily reflection. Today is March 13th, 14th. May. My goodness, man. Wow, forget I said anything. Fueling the habit bonfire. This is actually quite good for today. This is by Epictetus, this quote. He says, "Every habit and capability is confirmed and grows in its corresponding actions, walking by walking and running by running. Therefore, if you want to do something, make a habit of it. If you don't want to do that, don't, but make a habit of something else instead. The same principle is at work in our state of mind. When you get angry, you've not only experienced that evil, but you've also reinforced a bad habit, adding fuel to the fire." That's actually really good, and I think I want to come back to that tomorrow and discuss that, because it ties into something very pertinent to one of my big fears. So I'm going to make a note of that, and we'll come back to discussing an element of that tomorrow. But I do want to just briefly touch on that relevancy to today. I need to make a habit of prioritizing things that should be a priority. I need to break into it, as it were. Anyways, let's see what Ryan Holiday... Oh, we're 40 minutes in. I'm just going to skip to gratitude. It's a bit hard right now. I'm not feeling... Not that the world owes me anything. Excuse me, not that the world owes me anything, but I'm feeling quite hard to... It feels quite difficult to be thankful today. And that's okay. That's okay. We have ups and downs. You have to remember that. Not everything is good. Not everything will be good, but we need to remember that it will be good again. I am grateful for the company of my friend Alex. It's hard to get work done around him because I always have such a good time talking to him. truly. Good guy. Grateful to Mum and Dad. They checked in with me. They knew that I took the hit to my assignments grade a little bit hard. So they checked in today. That was good. Really thankful for them. Thirdly, grateful to mon ami Paul, my friend Paul. He's French, hence the way I said that. I'm grateful to him. He's been helping me a lot with writing a cover letter for an application. It's in French, and of course, cover letter, very formal. So formal French is a beast to be reckoned with. So he's been helping me with that, being very helpful. I'm going to have to take him out for coffee or for breakfast one of these days after I'm not feeling stressed. So really thankful to him for that. But anyways, we'll leave it there. I'm going to give some more thought to how I can deal with what's going on in here in a healthy way. Put some more thought into that. And we'll also touch on what I didn't touch on from the self-reflection tomorrow as well. Anyways, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And enjoy the rest of your day and tomorrow as well. Cheers.